Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Thanks for joining. So I am so excited to have our guest here, Joe. He installs, it's funny because I had looked around because I wanted to make sure, I wanted to get someone who not only did chair lifts, but also did elevators for housing. I have an enormous, we have, as a society here, we have such a shortage of single-story homes, and so many clients who are in two-story homes that, you know, those stairs become not only hard to negotiate, but frankly, they become dangerous where it's a death trap. So I'm guessing business is good for you. How's business?
Business is very good.
Yeah. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
I have been in the elevator industry since 2004. It'll actually be 20 years in July.
You're so young looking. Goodness.
Thanks. Our business is Aerolift. We are a second-generation family-owned and operated business. We focus on home elevators, stair lifts, and other types of accessibility lifts, as well as some specialty material handling and, you know, those sorts of products.
Now you've piqued my interest. Elevator and chair lifts are the two that I'm aware of. What are
Yep.
the other specialty lifts? I guess I've seen them when car accidents. Never mind. I'll let you answer the question.
Sure. So we do dumbwaiters, which, you know, for homes and businesses, hospitals, restaurants, that sort of thing. We do freight lifts. So, you know, applications anywhere from industrial facilities to storage units, self-storage, stuff like that. We also install vehicle lifts, and sort of aligned with the home elevators. You've got some you know, like car elevators in some of the higher end homes and that sort of thing.
Well, that's a pretty wide array of products. That's fantastic. I'm reminded of a good friend of mine. He lived in Yorba Linda. And he had a neighbor, really, really exclusive, big, all of minimum acre lots. And he said his neighbor had put this two-story garage in his backyard, and he apparently had a few other neighbors complain. And my buddy Jack came up, and he was walking up, and he could see the guy, the owner, rolling his eyes, thinking, "Oh no, another neighbor complained." And Jack held out his hand, shook his hand, and said, "This is the greatest garage I've ever seen in my life." And he had a lift in there. It was just two kindred spirits. So, well, let's dive into this here. So, first, dumbwaiters.
Yes.
I cannot believe that is not more popular, because I've sold homes with dumbwaiters in there, and they are so great to have, specifically for even laundry.
Right.
Do you see it mostly for laundry nowadays?
Yeah, laundry or groceries, and then luggage is kind of a distant third for the in-home stuff. There are a lot of applications, especially here in Southern California, where people have rooftop decks and they want to send food from the kitchen up, you know, to the rooftop, or, you know, those sorts of applications. A lot of garage to kitchen applications as well.
How does this work? How do you determine the best solution for a customer's specific home and business layout and mobility needs?
So within a particular application type, so say a single family home, there is a broad array of different potential solutions, and those are going to run the gamut from a very simple straight stair lift that goes up a straight flight of stairs, to curved stair lifts that are custom for the home, to other types of lifts and elevators. Some are more geared towards retrofit applications. Some get built into the home as part of a remodeling project and look as though they were architecturally, you know, part and parcel of the home. So it's a combination of, you know, understanding the homeowner's needs, accessibility-wise. That includes what they're wanting to do, but also what they're able to do, right? So there's a great amount of empathy that goes into understanding, okay, where are you coming from? What are your goals? You know, is this future planning? Are you just simply, this is your forever home and you don't want to get kicked out when you can't do the stairs? Or do you have a friend or loved one who's going to need to be in a wheelchair? Are you in a wheelchair? Or a walker, or, you know, that sort of thing. So there are needs that span a pretty wide range, and those will help us to filter down what type of solution is the most practical and the most appropriate for any given home. And then the other side of it is, how much does the homeowner want to invest in the home versus just simply solve their problem here and now for the least amount of money. So there are homeowners who don't want to put something in that looks like an afterthought. They would rather invest in their home and make it beautiful, make it seamless. And then there are homeowners that really it's just all about the need and solving the problem here and now. So with those customers, we have sort of a different suite of solutions versus the customers where it's, I want my problem to be addressed, but I also don't want to compromise the integrity of the home that I've got.
So you must have you're gonna have a full-on designer, or is there a designer, an architect, or what?
So,
talk to me.
Yeah, on those types of projects where somebody wants to make it seamless, we generally work with a design build partner or a team of, again, it depends on the scale. There are projects that are in very, nice but modest homes, 2-story homes, all the way up to multi-million-dollar homes. And so in some of the projects, it gets to a point where it's a full-on architecture firm doing plans and a specialty high-end remodeler. A larger number of projects are sort of, we work with a remodeling partner who does something in the design build, sort of area where they design a hoistway into the home. And then the elevator goes inside of that hoistway.
And so tell me this, what is, for an elevator, for example, first of all, this is just incredible because I don't know if anyone was even thinking elevators 5-10 years ago in houses, but they've become such a necessity for so many. What's the range? I mean, what's pretty kind of like, it's going to be a minimum of X. And then I'm guessing it'll go all the way up to, infinity or whatever.
In terms of cost of the elevator. Yeah. So there are localization issues in terms of, local cost of labor, local taxes, regulatory burden, freight, things like that. So we do business in multiple regions, multiple states. The cost of an elevator in Southern California isn't the same of a cost of an elevator even in the Bay Area or,
Interesting.
There are certain elements of it that are kind of static, and then there are other elements that fluctuate depending on regional variables. But generally speaking, I would say for something that's built into the house, the range is somewhere in the $30,000 range. And then up.
And those are the folks that just need a practical elevator.
Yeah. And I would say most people in, again, Southern California, most people spend more than that because, they're not looking for the least expensive thing. They're not buying their appliances at the scratch and dent store for their new home or whatever. So, but yeah, there are a broad range of solutions. There are a broad range of prices. Again, some of them are more in the, sort of budget range. And then there's what most people do.
Regardless of budget.
Yeah.
Let's say anyways, I'm guessing there are or are there not? Are there homes that you can't put an elevator on, or pretty much you can put an elevator in any house?
Most houses are able to receive an elevator of some sort if the owner is willing to make sacrifices in terms of space, in terms of, cost, budget. There are a lot of times where a homeowner will say, oh, well, I don't want an addition on the outside of my home to build a hoistway. That's a common solution, right?
So what customized options are available for your accessibility products to ensure they're seamless and integrate into the customer's home and home decor and architecture?
So there's a very wide range of customization options. A home's architecture is a little bit like fingerprints. There's no two homes that have the exact same decor, design, even if you're talking about side-by-side tract homes, the owner moves in and they do something different with it. They paint the walls, they put up wallpaper, they hang art. And so as a result, The more built-in home elevators, which are, again, it's more of an investment in the home, but they also have a great deal of design flexibility. So you can do wood cabs, where you've got different wood species. You can stain them, you can paint them, you can wallpaper them. It's like a little room inside of your home where it's a blank canvas. And it frequently, designers will bring elements of the rest of the home into the elevator car, but it need not even be that way. It can sort of be something unique. It can be, a lot of times they'll add a splash of color in the elevator. They may run flooring from the outside, run the same flooring into the elevator, so there's a little continuity. We have different types of doors on the elevator, swinging doors that'll match the outside doors, or sliding doors that look more like a, quote unquote real elevator, right?
Oh, that's kind of neat. So
Yeah.
it's you can create a lot of options, different looks from the exterior.
Yes.
And then I'm guessing you have different sizes of elevator.
Yes, absolutely. So depending on the jurisdiction, depending on the particulars, there are limits that are set by code and for home elevators, and those also are impacted by the choice of the elevator system, the drive system, how much weight it can pick up. But there are elevators that certainly can go all the way up to wheelchair accessible sizes.
I would think that would probably be a standard. And then how many people? Usually nothing more than that fits 3 at a time, 4 at a time.
Especially the built-in elevators, which is currently still the most common type, I would say. Typically 1,000 pounds is a minimum capacity. So you're talking 3-4 people easy.
How does the installation process work? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so we're working with a general contractor in most applications. Now, products like stair lifts, or we haven't talked about this yet, but there's something called a shaftless elevator, where essentially an elevator is going in, it's penetrating an aperture in the floor. Essentially, when the elevator's down, you don't see the elevator. When the elevator's up, you don't see the elevator. The cab itself just moves between the two spaces, and there's safety features and stuff that come with that product. Now, that product and a stair lift are a little bit more similar in that there's not a whole lot of prep work, very light handyman work typically, to prepare a home for one of those types of products, which makes them very good for retrofit applications. With a home elevator that's built in, we work hand in hand with the contractor to prepare the house, to lay out the hoistway, to do the construction. It's a small remodeling project. And as we get closer to the point of installation, we make sure that everything's ready, and then we come in and we install the elevator.
And I'm guessing that just it's going to be based on the client's budget and needs on whether it's a chairlift or an elevator. And those are the two primary solutions for these.
I would say yes. Yeah. Needs, budget, timelines another factor, because putting in a straight stair lift is something that we can do very quickly.
Yeah. On that note, what's a chairlift? If I call you today and say, I need a chairlift at my house, when can I anticipate a reasonable time when it would be done?
If we were to meet at your house and you've got a suitable flight of straight stairs, we'd be talking about what time next week you want it.
Got it. And then what about an elevator? I'm sure that'll vary, but let's say what's the quickest elevator you're able to install?
Most elevator projects, the elevator is not itself the limiting factor. It's all of things like permits and getting the site ready. So most elevator projects are a minimum of 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
So
due to the permits and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Can you get it permitted after? I'm joking. So do you have any, I'm sure there's special training and certifications for your technicians, or is this field, I mean, like I had mentioned before, of course, elevators have been around forever, but this home installation of elevators and things, how long has this field been out there concentrating on?
Interesting. Home elevators, so elevators have a safety code, and they, kind of like the building code, the elevators have their own little safety code. Home elevators have been a part of the elevator code since 1956. So the first home elevators were, early 50s, and then they said, hey, we've got to put together some rules on how these things are going to go. Now, within the last really 10 to 15 years, the industry of home elevators has undergone a great transformation as knowledge about the product has become more broadly available, as well as some of the technology has made it more practical to put them into more homes. In terms of certifications, most every state that we do business in has some form of licensure for elevator mechanics. So you've got elevator mechanics license, which is a combination of elevator safety, general construction knowledge, and then electrical safety, because installing elevators is electrical, it's mechanical. An interesting industry in that the technical knowledge involves multiple trades. So you've got to know a little bit of carpentry, you've got to know a little bit of hydraulics, pneumatics, electrical, electronics. So our technicians are very well trained, well schooled, sharp guys. We do have, in addition to the regional or state licenses, we also have a training program as a company, and it's a part of a nationally certified training program specifically for private residence elevators and accessibility lifts.
Now, you mentioned weight around 1,000 pounds. I'm guessing that for whatever reasons, if someone needs a heavier, you can. What's the maximum you can build an elevator to hold? Not a lift. I know you do car lifts, so that is it the same?
Generally speaking, the theoretical limit is there is none, as long as the factor of safety that the system's designed for. Practically speaking, 1,400 pounds is a common upper limit for most manufacturers in the home elevator space.
Now, what happens if something goes wrong? How does that aspect work? The elevator, someone gets stuck on in between floors.
Every elevator is full of redundant safety devices. So there's sensors, there's mechanical safeties. A properly designed and installed elevator is very, very safe. If you put in enough elevators, you're going to run into instances where at some point in time, somebody gets stuck. Now, somebody getting stuck is typically a result of a positive safety device, something working properly, meaning it
prevented something.
Prevented,
the brakes on.
or prevented the potential of something else. But generally speaking, all of the elevators that we install have some reasonable procedure that we are able to, communicate. We communicate with customers at handover, how to address, different scenarios with the use of the elevator. And then if for some reason, whether it's a person or luggage or whatever, something or someone gets stopped inside the elevator in between floors, we walk them through how to lower the elevator and get whoever or whatever is inside out.
Is there a button in there?
Generally, there are a multi-step set of procedures that someone on the outside can do so that the person on the inside doesn't,
But speaking of that, actually, is there a speaker system, or is there a button, or is there a way to communicate?
Always a two-way communication means with just a phone. Every home elevator is required by code to have a live phone line inside of their car.
Got it. That makes sense. That was my wife wanted me to ask that. She was
not a problem.